Hi guys, and welcome to this week's video for our journey through Celebration of Discipline by Richard Foster. The discipline that we're looking at this week is submission. I'm not sure what you think about when you hear the word submission. It might not be so great. I know for me, I start thinking about words like exploitation, which isn't great. And actually the truth is that submission has been misused over the years to exploit people. It's not been used well. And if you haven't read the blog yet for this week, I would really recommend you going and doing so, just so you can see kind of what the biblical version of submission really is. Because submission in the Bible comes from a place of freedom. It can only happen when we know that we are free in Christ, and from that place we choose to submit. And we choose to submit for no purpose other than because Jesus did that. Jesus did just that for us. He submitted to his Father for us. And so we choose to submit as well. And it's more of an attitude of the heart than an outward action. We can do things for people, we can agree with people and go along with people, while our hearts can actually be really hard towards them. And actually it's a heart attitude and a heart posture of submission that we want to be doing. And I've been thinking a bit about this week, what submission really looks like in this season. And it struck me this morning that actually all of us right now are having to choose whether or not we submit to government guidelines and whether we are submitting to the lockdown. Because the truth is, no one would know if I decided to go out for 2 daily exercises today. No one would know that. No one would know if I popped to 3-4 different shops to get just a few of my favourite items. And I have to admit, I have done that during this lockdown, but I felt really convicted today actually about the fact that God calls us to submit even when we don't fully understand. Obviously I do understand why the lockdown is happening, but he calls us to submit even when it's a bit difficult for us, even when it might not be our first choice. In fact, it's in that place that submission can happen and our hearts can be transformed. And the quote for this week, I'm just going to read it to us because actually I just found it so challenging. So this is from Celebration of Discipline. And Richard Foster says, "I said that every discipline has its corresponding freedom. What freedom corresponds to submission? It is the ability to lay down the terrible burden of always needing to get your own way." Ouch. And I know for me, that really is a burden for me. I am definitely a black and white person. I think there is a right way to do something and a wrong way to do something. I believe that so much so that I went and did a maths degree, because with maths there is always a right answer and a wrong answer. I was slightly horrified to then find out that when you get further into maths that that's not actually always the case. That was pretty tough. But actually I love, knowing that something is right and something is wrong. I love kind of rules for life and kind of working out how to do things well. And so I've noticed that there is this thing for me, and the enemy of submission in my life, I think, is control. Control and wanting to do things my way. And this comes to light especially when I am cooking with my husband. We will often assign ourselves roles in the kitchen, head chef and sous chef. I'm probably more often head chef, probably coming from this issue that I'm telling you about now. And also because I hate chopping vegetables and he is much better at chopping onions finely than I am. But actually I've realised that even in that situation, I'll find myself kind of questioning things and being like, oh, why are you doing it that way? That's not the right way to cut a pepper. You're meant to cut it like this. And the truth is that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how the pepper is cut. In fact, if it's cut in any way, I'm sure the dish will taste the same way. But the thing is, for me, there's that element of actually wanting to have things done my own way. And the only person that is hurting is hurting me, because actually I'm insisting on getting wound up about silly things. But it's annoying for him as well, because actually he's very capable of cutting a pepper. And I wonder what that is in your life. It might be something completely different. But I wonder, what is the one thing this week that you could think, do you know what, actually I don't need to have that my own way. Maybe, like I said in the blog, it is that you want a pizza and someone else in your household wants a Chinese. How can we submit? Because as we practice submitting to others, we'll learn better how to submit to God. And actually, how are we submitting to God in this time? What does that look like for you? How are your decisions reflecting your love for God?